Hi, we're back with our Unit 4 test review, beginning problem number 5. The table below represents a linear relationship. What is the y-intercept? Alright, so since this is asking for the y-intercept, then I know that this is going to follow the equation y equals mx plus b, because this b represents my y-intercept. Alright, since this is the equation that we're going to be using, then I already know that my table gives me some data that is non-proportional, because this is a non-proportional equation. Alright, so therefore there's no reason to look for my constant. I need to go ahead and look for my change in y over my change in x. So when I'm doing that, then I'm looking for how am I getting from 4 to 7. So therefore we can see that that is a plus 3. From 7 to 10, plus 3. And 10 to 13, plus 3. All right, so my change in y was a positive 3. My change in x, 2 to 3, is a plus 1. 3 to 4 is a plus 1. And 4 to 5 is plus 1. So my change in x is 1. So therefore, my change, or my rate of change, is 3. Now, on this one, we see that we go plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. So we could try to go backwards. Okay, so if I did plus 1, plus 1, plus 1, then going backwards, I would do minus 1. But notice you don't get to 0 yet. Okay, in order to find the y-intercept, it has to be 0 and some y number. Okay, now I could do 2 movements, so this would get me to a 1, and then I can move it again by saying negative 1, so 1 minus 1 would give me 0. But if I did 2 movements up here, then I have to do 2 movements down here, okay, on the y table. So here, if I move it by taking away 3, because that's the opposite of adding 3, adding 3, adding 3. So 4 minus 3 is 1. That's one movement, but I have to move it again. So that would be another movement of taking away 3. So 1 minus 3 would give me a negative 2. Okay, so there's one way of doing it. Now, the other way of doing it would be to plug in information into this equation. If I know I just found my slope of 3 over here, okay, my change in y over my change in x, that's my 3. Now, I can pick up any ordered pair on this table to plug in for y and x and solve for my b. So let's say I pick up this 5 and this 13. Well, 5 represents my x on this table. So in my equation, I'm going to plug it in for x. The 13 represents your y on this table, so I'm going to plug it in for y. And then I'm going to bring down my plus b that I'm going to solve for. So here we have 3 times 5 is 15, plus something is going to equal 13. All right, now I'm going to be solving for the variable b. So in order to get rid of this 15, I would take away 15. Over here, take away 15. So 13 minus 15, so you're taking away more than what you have, so that becomes a negative 2 equals your b. So either way, whether you use the equation and plug in values, or whether you take your steps backwards, then you're going to land on a y-intercept of negative 2. All right, number 6. The graph of which equation is shown below? All right, so there are several things that we can look at here. First of all, I want to look at my line. Look at this line and ask yourself, is this a positive slope or a negative slope? So since it is moving downwards from left to right, then I know that it's a negative slope. So when I'm looking here, I've got y equals mx plus b. All right, so this m, my slope, is going to be negative. So I'm looking here, I have a negative. I have a negative slope. I have a positive slope. I don't want it. I have a positive slope. I don't want it. Okay, so that's one thing you look for. The next thing you need to look for is where does it cross the y-axis? Because this b right here represents the y-intercept. So I'm looking to see on my y-axis, this axis here, where does it cross? So here's my crossing point, my intersection. So from 0, I count up 1, 2, 3. So that is a positive 3 for the y-intercept. So here's a positive 3. no positive 3. This one's already been canceled out, and so has this one. So looking at my answer, it looks like A is going to be right, but I still want to count my slope. So remember, m's your slope. On a graph, we find that by doing rise over run. All right, so I need to find a point that is at a perfect intersection. So I see one here. Okay, and of course my y-intercept is here because we already looked at it. So I'm going to take those 2 points and I'm going to count my rise and run. Once again, check your x and y scale. What are they going by? So I see I'm going by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here, just to check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to be counting by ones. So starting from here, going rising up and moving to the left. All right, so my rise is 1, 2, 3, 4. And my run, notice I'm moving backwards or to the left. So that's 1, 2 to the left, so that's a -2. So 4 divided by -2 gives me -2. Now I have found the slope, and it matches up with the equation that I thought it was. So A is my answer.